knees.
No, it's fine. Your knees are gorgeous.
You have taste
Those special
in a way
legs.
that's meaningful to software people.
Can
Hello,
we take the pillow?
I'm Bill Gates.
I would recommend TypeScript.
Yeah, it writes
Thank you.
a lot of code for me, and usually it's slightly wrong.
I'm reminded incidentally of Rust here.
Thus,
Rust.
this almost makes me happy that I didn't become a supermodel.
Cooper and Netties.
Boy, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about large neural networks. It's really an honor to be here.
Rust.
Data topics.
Welcome to the data.
Welcome to the Data Topics podcast.
Hello and welcome to Data Topics Unplugged, your casual corner of the web where we discuss what's new in data every week. From Apple Intelligence to artists, anything goes. Today is the, what's the date today? 13th of June of 2024. We're also live streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, X, you name it, we're there. Feel free to check us out, leave a comment, take a quick look at Bart's knees. He's been boosting about it this morning.
I've hidden them.
I've hidden them. It was too much. It's to be safe for
much,
work.
yeah. When you start focusing on your knees too much, they start looking weird.
But I feel like that happens with when you repeat a word too much, you know?
Ah.
Like sometimes, like actually that happens to me in Portuguese even, you know? Like my partner's asking, oh, is this how you write this word or how you say this word? And I look and say, yeah. I was like, are you sure? And I start really looking at it. I'm like, oh, this looks weird.
And what's a weird Portuguese word for you?
Anything.
Anything.
Like, anything that is not
That's next
super
level.
common. But I think in English it's the same, you know?
Crisis.
Like if you say like bowl. It's weird, no? It's like bowl. Or, you know? No, it's just me.
What were you doing before this meeting?
I was thinking. I was reflecting. But yeah, my name is Murillo. Together with the one and only Bart.
Hi.
The man with the handsomest knees in the hood.
Oh, you just made it very awkward. Let's just drop the knees.
Oh, I can't. It's just right there. And behind the screens, Alex is with us again.
Hello.
Hello. How y'all doing? How we doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. We're also not a bit where I had
The sun is shining.
sun is shining.
That's something new.
Did last weekend on Sunday it was really, really sunny, no?
It's like randomly throughout the day it's raining, sun,
Yeah.
Raining, sun. cold.
Yeah, that's true. Huh? Sometimes it gets cold. It's a bit weird. Sunday was really nice. I know there was also election day here. Not gonna speak too much on the elections, but anything funny did on Sunday aside from go vote?
It sounds like a very long time ago.
Oof. That's your age showing.
I guess so. Is it still crystal clear in your mind what you did last weekend?
Yeah. But I'm very I felt like a real man. I cut the grass, fixed my bike. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
You know.
What was wrong with your bike?
So there was a flat tire
Huh?
on the electric bike. So there was like some wires that I had to also navigate and stuff. But like I went to Action first, and I wanted to buy another like the bike tube, right? Like the inner tube. But they didn't have it. They just had like something to fix the holes, I guess, like a kit.
Like a
And like and I bought it there, but I tried to use that, it didn't work, so I had to go again to the store and get an actual tube because that just didn't work. So I actually switched the bike twice, but it was just a flat tire. But it makes a difference because I only have one, like it's an electric bike. I only have one, and there's a bit of a hill going back home. And that hill makes a difference. Electric bike, boy. So I'm not wearing shorts today, unlike some other people here at the pod. But if you saw my legs, like, man, super buff now because, you know, all the manual work on the bicycle, you know. So it's a good exercise, but it was too much.
Because you changed the tube?
Because I had to cycle on the
Okay.
Bart, come on.
Okay.
Keep up.
What happened in data?
What happened
this
in
week?
data? So I think big thing that happened is with AI. And when I say AI, what am I saying here? What do you think I'm saying when I say AI, Bart?
Artificial intelligence?
Oof, that's a good guess, but no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is Apple intelligence.
Apple intelligence.
Yeah, can you get the money sign? The money. There we go.
What is Apple Intelligence?
It's basically Apple's AI, right? They rebranded it a bit. So I have it on the screen, people following the video. Basically, the long-awaited Apple move on AI is here. It's coming in beta this fall, so it's not available yet. So basically, it's a whole suite of new capabilities, new AI things, right? Some things that kind of, so if you go here, we're also going to link on the show notes the actual announcement, right? The page. But there are different things that were shown, right? There's a lot of text, right? So even things like what Grammarly does to help you with the text, that was going to be offered built in on your Apple products. So MacBook, iPad, iPhone, all the things. They also mentioned here that
So improving the text you've written, basically.
yeah,
Or
so
actually generating new text.
all of it actually.
Okay.
From what I saw is like you can actually ask it to generate text. So if it's an email or something using the Apple products, it's an Apple generate the text for the email. Or if it's proofreading what you have, it can be summarizing. It can be stuff like what Grammarly does as well. Like, oh, maybe this wording needs to be more this and that. They also emphasize the personal context and the cross app functionality, I guess. So for example, you can generate, maybe before I talk about that, they also showed up quite a lot of the vision stuff actually, which I thought it was kind of nice. I wasn't expecting that necessarily. But for example, you can say, create an emoji of Bart, and then you have 3, I think, styles. I think you have like sketches, animation, and something else. And then you create a custom emoji or a custom image of you. And then what you can do with those things as well is to go, okay, copy the previous image into notes, and then you actually open notes and kind of has a bit more intelligent on the context and all the things there. So there was a lot of stuff on vision, which I thought was pretty cool as well, and not something that I necessarily expected. The notifications also got smarter, so they're not going to just show all the notifications. They're going to kind of assess what are the things you probably want to be notified of.
Curious how they will pull this off.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of stuff. It looks pretty cool. There was a keynote on the WWDC. It's like Worldwide Developer Conference or something, which I was also watching a video from Fireship. They just joking that it's not for developers at all. Like it's nothing for developers to code, but it's called the Developer Conference. So quite a lot of stuff. You see, like the other thing that they mentioned, the deal with the OpenAI that we also covered a while ago, maybe also.
Yeah, this clearly comes after their deal with the OpenAI.
Yes.
Came to fruition.
Yes.
We're what are we?
So they
a month further since they publicly signed the deal.
Yes. And actually, so the way that they position this is that this is a separate thing. Yeah. So Siri also got a new intelligence. Let's say there is more. It understands more of the context. It's not like us. It's more like, oh, can you tell me what's the weather in Leuven? And then you say this. Okay, plan on a day trip there.
Yeah.
And then you will know that there is Leuven and all these things. But there's an integration with ChatGPT, but it's not part of Siri, right? So actually, if you're using ChatGPT, you will know that you're actually being redirected to ChatGPT, right? So if there's something like that Siri doesn't know, I think today what Siri will do is say, hey, these are some answers I found online. And I think after this, you would actually be prompted to ChatGPT. So
and it will be explicit. So that means that your initial interactions with Siri are actually not via OpenAI?
Yeah,
that's or not via ChatGPT. Is there a difference there?
Yes, apparently there is. So it's Siri, it's going to be Siri, and then you can actually use ChatGPT as a, like you can ask ChatGPT. So it's like when you're asking Siri, and then you can actually redirect stuff to ChatGPT.
But Siri will not use OpenAI's APIs directly.
Not from what I understood.
Because ChatGPT is their product, right? Like
yes.
They also have APIs.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, so ChatGPT is integrated, but it's not Siri.
Okay.
So you can tell Siri to ask ChatGPT something. You can go on ChatGPT, even here right at the bottom. So they actually have the very last section, I think here, is about ChatGPT. So they didn't focus on this, right? But they're just talking about how there's a seamless integration, right? So on the image here, there's some text, and you can select the text, and you can refine with ChatGPT. So that's not Apple Intelligence necessarily. Nice. Which I also thought that the fact that they name dropped ChatGPT was already interesting, because historically I don't remember any keynote where Apple kind of refers to third parties or integrations or something, right? And they even mentioned, like, on their thing, there's like the leading on AI, ChatGPT, industry leader, blah blah. We have seamless integration, and apparently even with like the I think 4.0 ChatGPT 4.0 even, it will be freely available for Apple users.
Oh, nice.
So,
but I think if they would not have explicitly mentioned ChatGPT or OpenAI here, like there would have been a lot of questions coming from the community.
that is true. I mean,
Because,
especially after the deal.
Yeah,
Right?
and
The
I think
deal that they
they're
made.
like the approach that they're taking. Like we brainstormed a bit about it. Like it makes sense to accelerate and to use OpenAI at the very least as a temporary solution until they can roll their own.
Yeah.
But the way that they're doing it is very transparently.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Or at least it looks transparent, right? Like
it looks transparent. What was also it was on the news a few days ago that it will be opt-in by default.
Yeah,
which is also interesting. So it's not that you by default start sharing stuff with some AI.
Yeah,
but you will have to explicitly opt in. They've also gone a bit in depth on how do they make sure that your data is treated.
Yeah, with privacy.
With privacy, which Apple always has taken a very strong stance on. And they make it explicit that basically that OpenAI doesn't retain any data, that there is no IP addresses being stored, these type of things.
Yeah. I think the more on that, the privacy thing, I thought it was also interesting. So maybe the last thing I'll mention before jumping to privacy, it's available freely for any Apple user with an asterisk because it's not for like I cannot benefit from this because it's only for the new devices basically. So if you don't have,
I think 15 and newer, right?
15 Pro and 15 Pro Max and newer.
MacBook
Pro,
M1 and later.
Anything with M1. And I think part of the reason is because in the privacy strategy, it's that they try to compute as much as possible in the device, right? But it's big models and stuff. So of course, sometimes you need to leverage the cloud. But the idea is that the requests are going to come to the Apple private cloud, and the demo will look like it would be like the data will be a bit fragmented, like you have different servers, so to try to protect the privacy. But
part of it on device.
Part of it on device, as much as possible on device. So if you don't have something like this, M1 or later, for the MacBooks and iPads and iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max, unfortunately, which iPhone do you have, Bart?
I have a 15.
15 Pro?
15 Pro.
So you're going to be the first ones to try it out and give us first-hand review.
Well, Siri will understand my requests. And it will still go, Rilo, I did not understand what you mean. Can you repeat it?
But it's you talk to Siri in Dutch, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how it's... Do you think Siri in Dutch is more direct as well? Because the data that it was trained. It's like...
It goes like, fuck you, Bart. Don't mumble so much.
You're like... Be
clear in your pronunciation. Sorry.
Siri, I was thinking if maybe Saturday would be a good... What do you want? Let's cut to the chase. We ain't got time in the world here, you know.
They need to pay. They need to pay tokens now to OpenAI. It's gonna be like very straight to the point.
Yeah. Another thing too that I thought it was interesting. It's a bit I saw it from another like Fireship video thing. Like not Apple. Sorry, OpenAI and Microsoft, they have a deal. So the profits from OpenAI, part of it also goes to Microsoft, which is a bit
interesting,
right? It's a bit so now. OpenAI also has its, influence over Apple. Does it mean that Apple profits also go to Microsoft in one way or another?
I have no clue how the profits are shared between.
There's an
OpenAI and Microsoft.
Yeah, there's an article as well that talks about the relationship between OpenAI and Microsoft, but I haven't looked into it. But I was contemplating, and I also heard.
But it's a weird dynamic. Yeah.
I also heard, like that Apple was thinking of enabling Gemini, like Google's AI.
Well. There have been rumors about it as well.
Yeah, so it's like it will be another interesting thing, right? Like Apple will kind of be opening up more and just kind of say this and this and this.
That would be interesting if they would go that way. Like they don't build their own, but they integrate nicely with third parties.
Yeah,
and it's a bit like choosing your browser, choose your LLM.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, and also maybe if you have an account here, account there. So quite a lot of stuff. I think we also have something from The Verge, right? Like they also highlighting some features about Siri.
What I find interesting to see going forward is like Apple has always been very big on user experience.
Yeah.
Like user experience is a bit hard to navigate with something that is a bit approximate, a bit probabilistic, like
Yeah.
to see how this will or will not be impacted the user experience going forward.
Yeah, I think that's a big question I have as well. Because right now, the way they're showing, everything looks really cool and really magical. And Apple has always been, I think the image that Apple brings as a brand identity is that everything's very well polished. But AI, LLMs, sometimes it's a bit hard to maintain that polishing, right? Maybe just an example here, like this is from The Verge. Apple's OpenAI deal is real. And I think it shows here how, I think it's in Siri, right? Actually, you can type to Siri now. You don't have to just talk, right? You can actually type stuff. So it's like intelligent search bar in a way. And then you see, oh, do you want me to use
You can now
ChatGPT
as
for
well.
that? Yeah, you can do that now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not a Siri user, I guess. There's the Genmoji, like I said, the GenAI. So there's actually quite a lot of GenAI for images as well, which I thought it was quite interesting here. So we're also going to link here. The keynote is actually pretty long. They actually announced some stuff with the Vision OS, like stuff related to the Vision Pro,
Okay.
which we're not focusing on. But there's quite a lot of stuff there. Let me see. What is another thing I wanted to show? No, that's not what I wanted to show. One thing I wanted to highlight that I thought was pretty cool is, let me show this tab instead. What they called it math notes. So for people following us on the live stream, I just put there's a YouTube link there. But basically, they're showing you can have the calculator. So they're saying we brought AI to the calculator. And at first, it just looks like it's a regular calculator. But then apparently, you can tap some buttons and stuff, and you can use your Apple Pencil. And then you have like almost like a textbook,
Okay.
right? Like you have handwritten numbers and text. And the idea is that Apple will intelligently understand what the numbers mean, and it will actually fulfill the calculations you want. So here there's an example. They're doing 96 times 28, and then as she puts the equal sign and waits a bit, you can see the actual answer there. And then as you added the equation, the numbers also update.
Interesting.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But then again,
it's a bit like to bring in the Apple Pen for that. So it's a bit gimmicky, yeah. But
yeah.
It looks cool.
It looks cool, but there's more stuff, huh? Like it doesn't end there. So, oh no, where is this? They also shown, yeah, this is not here, but they also shown that there was, they also do graphing stuff. So, for example, you can actually put like y equals to x something, and then you can actually ask,
oh, nice, yeah.
The iPad to compute the graph, basically.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I thought it was in this video, but maybe not. But it's fine. We'll link in the show notes. And then they even show that you could change, like, so you can say x is equal to 15 degrees, whatever, and then you will plot the graph. And then there are even ways that you can click and drag to change the numbers and see how the graph changes in real time.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So it looks really, really cool. But, and again, in the demo, they really showed this very nice and polished demo. Just got warm here now. But I wonder how much that will translate to real experience. You know, like because I mean, I've been a student. I've also been a grader for math papers and stuff, like homework and stuff. And it's not easy to understand how like the logic of the calculations and all the things. And I'm wondering if I have a hard time as a human and I know what the problem is and I know what the answer should be, how easy it would be for an iPad AI model to re-identify these things. And in the examples that they show, everything's super well written, super not neatly packed. But I think in reality, it's not going to be like this. And I think the reality, most people don't, when they're doing calculations, they don't do like how they were doing it.
And mine wouldn't be legible.
That's another problem.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Indeed. Maybe a last question on this. Is this what you're expecting for the big AI move from Apple?
It is, well, to some extent, yeah. I think the OpenAI deal hinted towards this, right? I think I'm curious to see what the user experience will be. Like for all these things I use, so I'm very much an Apple user. I have a MacBook, I have an iPhone, AirPods. But for everything that is something to do with LLMs, today I use things that are outside of that ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see, like, if I would scan for my typical workflows where I use LLMs, if this would allow me to
Yeah.
Just stay within the Apple ecosystem.
Do you use Keynote? Apple Keynote for
No,
presentation?
no, I used it for a few times, but
Yeah, because I was also like they also shown some stuff like you can create an image here. You can use create images on Keynote, for example, right? Built in, which I thought it was nice, right? But like I don't use the email client from the MacBook. I don't use Keynote, right? So I'm wondering if there are these features there, which is cool. But also the integration between different things, right? I think on the phone it's easier
I
because
think it
everything's
depends
on the
really
phone.
on your workflow, right?
Yeah, but I wonder. Yeah, for me, like going forward, like okay, if I have a MacBook that has all these features, would I really switch? I was trying to imagine my
If they make
workflow.
the mail client better, I would be happy. I use it,
You use it.
the mail client,
Hmm.
not for all my email accounts, but for some.
Yeah.
But like it's dumb, man. Like it doesn't do autocomplete. Like
Yeah.
if I type Bart, I would assume by now, 2024, it knows that the next thing I write is Bart Smeets.
Yeah.
Right? Like even as simple as that is today very hard to get. So
Yeah.
if we can even improve incrementally on all these things, would be cool to see. The question is, of course, what it does to privacy, because there's a lot of, even though they're transparent on how they're going to do it, like there's a lot of discussion on OpenAI's part in this, and
Yeah. Now that they're working more closely there, it's a bit.
yeah.
Need to know, right? What else? You mentioned ChatGPT. No, we mentioned ChatGPT, but you also mentioned that not everything's on the Apple Flow. And in here, I have something from X, something that you brought, Bart.
Yeah, just cool to check out. It's a post on X by. Let me quickly open it. You're also opening it on the screen.
Yes.
By Dabo, and he recreated based on Karpati's design, Andre Karpati, a nanoGPT in a spreadsheet.
nanoGPT, I guess, is just like a GPT is generally pre-trained transformer, so it's just that architecture, but scaled down.
The transform architecture in a spreadsheet, yeah. And it's if you're
85,000
interested,
parameters.
like how this architecture looks like and how the individual nodes are linked together, like that makes it very tangible.
Yeah, makes it less scary when it's like it's
Makes it less scary, yeah. It's you can't use it for training or anything. Like it's really like for educational purposes at this stage. They actually use because we were discussing the Mac client. They actually use numbers, not Excel, but numbers.
Oh, really?
Just Apple's spreadsheet app. But
Okay.
it's a cool thing. Check it out if you're interested.
Yeah, if you're looking at actually one of the a very good explanation of convolution on neural networks actually was something similar that
Also in a spreadsheet.
it was also in a spreadsheet, but they were talking about convolution. So
Okay.
they had it was grayscale, like that they were trying to demonstrate. But basically, the bigger the number, the different color was.
Yeah.
So you kind of mapped like the actual number
Okay.
with the actual, the actual image.
Oh.
And then when they apply convolutions, you can see how it would look because the numbers would change and the image would change. It was
Cool.
actually pretty interesting. And maybe more on ChatGPT. You're a ChatGPT user, right, Bart?
I am, yes.
How much do you rely on it?
Sometimes too much, sometimes not enough.
It's a very cop-out answer, but okay.
Huh?
Why am I asking? This came, like, not this article directly came in my feed, but
so it says you're opening on the screen how a single ChatGPT mistake cost us $10,000.
10,000 plus dollars. So basically, the
Okay, I'm
article.
curious.
Yeah, the article here is well, it's very so to burst your bubble, it's very clickbaity. Basically, so I'm gonna TLDR a lot, and I read this, but not as much detail as I would like necessarily. Basically, use ChatGPT to refactor code base, going from I think now they're using Flask and Pydantic maybe. They kind of go more in the details here, or SQL model or SQL alchemy or something again. And basically, they were heavily using ChatGPT for this. And then they deployed it.
Okay.
At the end of the day, apparently. And then the next day, 50 people sent an email saying the wheel is spinning, but the subscription hamster is dead. So this was actually something related to the payment or well, not the payment, but actually the user. So whatever people actually wanted to make a purchase, it wasn't working.
Okay.
It took them a long time to kind of get to the root cause here. They also show why this was a $10,000 plus dollars issue. Here they also talk about the $10,000 hallucination. And the issue here is apparently in this line. So when they're creating a new ID, they're using a Python package, uuid.uuid4 with no arguments. And apparently, from what I understand, this creates the same ID always, because you need to like specify some other stuff, but otherwise it will create like a deterministic.
They're setting a default value here.
Exactly. So
and this line, like this is a Pydantic class that are.
I don't think it's Pydantic. I think it's
a SQL alchemy. Yeah. And they're defining here the ID column, and they're saying the default value is this UUID 4 string that they're actually creating there.
Yes.
Like they're setting a value. Okay.
So I think they kind of go more deep, right?
And so this creates basically the same, like users with always the same ID, or can't create it because ID already exists probably.
Yeah.
But what happened? Like why?
So what we're failing to notice is that we were copying over the same issue with the way the generating IDs in all our models. So basically, like all the models were doing this, and I think they were basically creating the same ID for all the users. So whenever someone was trying to register, you couldn't fulfill because the ID was the same for everyone.
Okay.
So that's kind of the issue, right? They spent a lot of time fixing the bugs, and actually it took a while to realize what the issue was. So they spent 5 days actually, and they lost money because this was actually related to the sign up for monetization, right? So it was a startup. They were almost going for the monetization, like doing the transition. That's when they decided to use ChatGPT and refactor some things and deploy.
Yeah. This is a bit.
Yeah.
This is a very long explanation where you would normally go, yeah, I fucked up. But here, it's a startup, so they're probably invested, and they're saying, yeah, we can't just say we fucked up, man. Like this 10,000 euros is a lot of it's a big fuck up. We need a very long explanation of how it's ChatGPT's problem.
Exactly. And actually, like, so even on I skipped this purposely, but they put an edit. I want to preface this by saying, yes, the practices here are bad and embarrassing. And we've since added robust unit integration tests and alerting logging. So even like logging,
they edited it after people called them out, probably.
I think so. Yeah. Should have been avoided where human errors are beyond anything and very obvious in hindsight. So I guess and this is basically on Hacker News, people were going.
Yeah, this is a bit weird to blame ChatGPT on this. This is just you fucking up.
So here I open the Hacker News, right? And a lot of people, no, a lack of monitoring costs you 10K. Your app is throwing database exception, was alerted, blah, blah, blah. So basically a lot of people kind of got on them saying, this is not a ChatGPT issue. This is a you issue, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't add tests. You didn't add logs. You deployed it in the day. You're like refactoring stuff. So again, very clickbaity, right? If the title was, my mistake cost us 10K, no one read it, right? But
well, you wouldn't write it.
Exactly, right? But I think it kind of is like, imagine you have like a linter or like an autocomplete from like a plugin, right? And then that suggests you code that has a bug. Would you say, oh yeah, this linting tool or this autocomplete plugin from VS Code costed me 10,000? Probably not, right? But just because it's ChatGPT and now people romanticize that ChatGPT is like a person, we can blame it on it.
Yeah, I think it's really something that somebody that realized I fucked up. Shit, 10,000 euros. How am I gonna do this? Yeah,
like,
I can't just say this to my manager. Like, you need to. Yeah, ChatGPT, you can't trust it. Like it hallucinates, and then like goes to his manager. Like, yeah, we use this. It's not perfect. Made a mistake. We need to share this to the community to educate the community that the rest of the people don't have the same problems.
Let it
it's
make
not
the same
me.
mistake.
It's ChatGPT.
Yeah. It's a very tough.
Yeah.
Very tough one to argue. But yeah, there we go. So our jobs are still not going to say much about our jobs, but I guess it's a real life anecdote.
So what we learned from this is don't set a static value for an ID.
Yeah, that's the nitty-gritty lesson. I think a bit of a broader lesson is for coding, use ChatGPT as autocomplete, as an advisor, or as an intelligent autocomplete. but it's like it's not doing your job, right? Like you still need to. You're still responsible for the code. You still need to review, and you still need to do all these things, right?
Well, either that or you build very decent tests.
Yeah, true. But I still think it's like, and you can build a test using ChatGPT the same way you can build it using a linting tool like an autocomplete or something, right? But like you're still building it, right? It's still you. Like it doesn't. It's not the dev in AI that can just kind of go ahead and just do all the things for you.
Today it is.
ChatGPT.
No, I mean today it's still you.
Yeah,
It's just a
today's
tool.
today's still us. Today's still us. Yeah, true. Maybe one thing. If you were making changes, Bart,
Two.
to any project in general, it's
Okay.
a bit of a high level question. You ever heard that small PRs are better than big PRs? PRs meaning pull request.
Yeah.
I heard that too.
Okay.
So it's like, so get on with it. But I came across this article for one reason or another. How big should be a PR? And I thought it was interesting to share. Because I also
The
think
article you're sharing here says the ideal PR is 50 lines long.
yeah, which is also a bit opinionated, let's say.
It's a bit random.
But yeah, I think it kind of adds a bit more context to that. Like, yeah, smaller PRs are bigger, it's better than big ones. But what is a small PR?
To me, is like if you would looking a bit from the point of view as a reviewer, PR reviewer, that you have a clear description to the point, and then it's easy to browse through it and understand the logic. But like browsing wise, like you look at the changes, okay, I understand what they did.
Yeah, but how like for example,
It should take you to understand what they did 5 minutes, not 30 minutes. That's a bit there.
so you really go more on time. Like if a good PR is something that takes you 5 minutes to review and max.
Yeah, that's maybe a bit of opinion, but yes.
I mean, this is also
Yes, I think that is the ideal. That's also that makes it feasible to have reviewers.
Yeah, that's true. But I also think like, okay, I think I understand what you're saying. But again, if you tell this to a junior developer, they're gonna be like, okay, but what takes you 5 minutes? Is this enough? Is this okay? This is too small. Because and also they dive a bit, like they actually go. I thought it was interesting the way they analyze this as well, right? They actually have a sample set that they have thousands of repos, I want to say. And they actually review all the pull requests on time to review, how many pull requests were reverted, how many line comments, and the total code changes over a year. Because the other thing too is that they say if you have something that is too small, if every line you make a pull request, it's also going to decrease your productivity, right? Because now instead of opening one PR, you open 5 for the same changes, for the same amount of lines changed.
Yeah.
So for example, they start going here. They actually they bucketed a lot of, but basically they say that after. So for example, after 1 to 2,000 lines changed, the review
1
time
to 2,000 lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
After that, the review time actually drops.
The people don't look at it anymore.
Exactly. Right. So actually, like for me, if you just want to get stuff,
That's interesting
done,
that they have all this data on it, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I thought. So here, let me see. Can I take a look? What's the 200 line PRs? Oh, they have some 50 line code changes are reviewed and merged 40% faster than 250 line changes. They're 15 less likely to be reverted than 250 line changes, and have 40% more review comments per line changed. And they're also using medians here to avoid the outliers.
Nice.
Simple data set. How many repos they saw? So
But you also need to be 50. Like it can be less.
Well, in the end, like they're a bit more. They say between 25 and 100.
Okay.
So
adding some. Need to start adding some more comments to my stuff.
yeah, just like do this and then X equal to this. Rename X. And also they mentioned here right now their metric, they're trying to optimize the number of PRs and the review time, reduce the revert rate. But they also said that like if you care about line changes, it's actually better to have a bigger PR because it still takes you less time.
Yeah. But I do think like the topic is interesting, and especially if you're working in a team context, to have some guidelines on this.
Yeah, because I think this is very concrete, right? Because I think if you say 5 minutes easy, like 5 minutes for you is not for me. If it's easy to read, maybe that's different. And I think 50 lines is very concrete.
I think if you have this as a guideline within your team, like it's a guideline where that is concrete, will be very helpful, and everybody will say, "What a fucking stupid guideline."
Exactly. It's like in hindsight, everyone's gonna be like, "Fuck, man, this guy really
Yeah.
again." Okay, but it could help, right? So also revert PR size. They also see that in the beginning, from 0 to 10 lines change, is actually a bigger revert rate than between like 10, 20, and then of course if you go higher, it also has a bigger revert rate. And I think the reason they give here is probably because these are config files. So someone changed the config and they revert it back, right? So they kind of go on, and you always kind of see this kind of bell shape kind of thing, like number of comments. Again, once you get to 2.2 to 5K lines changed, the number of comments also decrease because people stop reading it. So I thought, as a thought experiment, I thought it was I thought it was interesting. I mean, I'm not sure how much I will follow, but at least now, if I tell you someone that like, oh, a smaller PR is better than a big one, I feel like I have more. I can color this more, like, oh, a 50 line,
Yeah,
this
true.
and this,
Yeah,
and
good
this,
point.
and this.
It's very interesting that they have all this data to build their argument.
Indeed. And they even like they have. I mean, it looked like
Because I have the feeling these type of things are always often like, what's the gut feeling of the person describing this?
Yeah,
It's interesting to have to see that it's actually some empirical data.
Indeed. So they did do that. Also, I went through their reasoning. I didn't see any clear flaws in their thinking. I thought it was pretty. I thought it was interesting, and I would be very curious to see this in practice. Like if you have a team working, people reviewing and stuff. So yeah, just to kind of close it up, right? So I think let's see. Yeah, I don't remember, but they did mention like between 25 and 100 lines changed. It's pretty good, but anything more than that, maybe you should think along. Yeah. Do you actually work a lot with teams today, Bart, or?
When it comes to coding?
Yes.
On an ad hoc basis.
Well, when you're coding, like, or do you do more solo coding, or?
In absolute lines of code, I think yes. And when I'm involved in a team, it's more as a reviewer.
As a reviewer. Yeah. So you review quite a lot of code.
Quite a lot is a bit exaggerated, but
okay. What kind of code do you review? README files.
Yesterday, a interface for a GenAI conversational bot.
Ah, okay, cool. Do you have any quick tips for people? What are the things that, if someone does, you're like, oh my god, like?
That's putting me a bit on the spot here.
That's my job.
I like it, but it's very subjective. When people form a bit of an opinion on, I'm doing this because I think this is the best practice because of these and these reasons. And I think that you tend to see that in the code people write as well.
But do you think that's a good thing, or do you think it's a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing.
That people like, so, but I mean,
there's a reason why you're designing your code in a certain way.
So people like opinionated about your code design.
Yeah.
Okay.
About their.
Like, but do you think there is a better, or do you think it's just different? Like, do you like? I guess my question is, as long as someone has an opinion, that's good, regardless of what the opinion is, or do you feel like some people have really bad opinions and they should stop doing that?
I think that there are always bad opinions, but I think in general that is the very, very much minority.
But do you prefer to have someone that has a bad opinion than someone that doesn't have an opinion at all?
Depends what your definition of a bad opinion is, then.
Yeah, I think it's a bit.
It's a bit of a difficult situation you're putting in.
I usually, as a general advice to people, I say like just be opinionated, right? Like just say this and this and be able to back it up. But I also had moments that I was like, yeah, but this is bad. And then like, yeah, but if you think of this, it's like, yeah, but no, this is bad. Yeah, but if it's like, okay, maybe you're too opinionated, right? Like, I think it's good to have an opinion, but at the same time, I feel that much resistance made everything a bit counterproductive as well. Like things took way too long because you were too opinionated, So I feel like I kind of take a step back sometimes on my advice, but I'm not sure where to draw the line. I think I can be very opinionated as well.
I think it's good if you, when you're again like you're in a team setting, project setting, like that, there are some existing best practices.
Yeah, like
you have a foundation to start from.
Yeah, I think it's like, but it's a bit analogous to I try to encourage people to challenge me, like in the decisions. But at the same time,
am I allowed to challenge you on things?
Like you need permission.
Okay, we need to. to have a discussion after this episode.
But yeah, sometimes I like people to challenge, but sometimes it's like if they challenge too much, I'm not sure if I'll be like, I think I maybe need to navigate better. You know, like this is not the moment to challenge. We decided this. We are gonna
Yeah,
do this.
but that needs to happen
right?
as well. Huh?
Yeah, but maybe that's just me. Like I need to navigate the different context, right? The different moments. Say this is a moment to discuss. This is not a moment to discuss. Let's just kind of move forward.
Yeah, but I think it helps if you have a foundation
Yeah.
in place.
Yeah. I agree. And I think like with the community and best practices and linting tools, I think it's a very good argument to say it's not me, you know, like it's look, PEP8 is there, all these things are there. And maybe talking about contributing and PR sizes and all the things there. If you do you contribute to open source a lot or no?
These days, not
But
much now.
you have contributed to open source.
Back in the days when there were still dinosaurs
Our days.
roaming the earth.
You know, maybe I'll confess something. Sometimes I feel like it's a bit intimidating to contribute to an open source like that. I feel like it's maybe my insecurities knocking on my door. But sometimes I'm like, man, like most of the times when I do contribute, it's because I'm trying to do something, there's a bug, and then I realize there's like a configuration issue or something like small.
Okay.
And then I'm like, nah, that's just like, I don't know. One time I was trying to install DBT and I realized that the requirements on the package, they were too loose. So actually, for some reason, my poetry installed one of the sub-dependencies, a node one, and then it was breaking my DBT, even though I just had DBT. And then like I spent a lot of time to try to figure out why this was happening. It was very easy for me to fix on my project because I can just specify the dependency to be higher, right? But then I was wondering like, should I make an upstream contribution? And it was going to be one line change.
Okay.
And I think in the end, like, because I was like, okay, now I need to write a merge request, explain why I'm doing this, try to explain why the issue is, and then I think in the end I didn't do. But I also noticed that I have this thought as like, man, like it's one line. You know, is this really valuable? Like,
it's definitely valuable
because I mean, I think it is, right? Rationally, yes. But I do notice there's a bit of a, that's just me. No one else has this issue. Like, that's a me problem. Why am I trying to do this and that? You know, like, it's such a hustle. I'm going to go out of my way, this and that. And slowly I try to change it. I also think there's a bit of a exposure to the internet, which is like some people are like, why are you doing this? No, I'm not going to do this. There's a bit
You're afraid that people will see it and go,
everyone's going to be behind. Hey, come see this guy. You know, so stupid. I think there's a bit of that. I think there is a bit of that, but I try to be strong. I try to be courageous. I try to follow your lead, Bart. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. Do you think there is such thing as too small contributions to open source projects?
No, as long as they're relevant.
I don't think so either. And to segue with that, I actually contributed to this. It got merged. The package, maybe I'll talk about the package first. Because, you know...
Is this to get people to follow you on GitHub?
No, but feel free to follow me. No, but yeah, maybe talk a bit about the package first, because you know what they say, right? A package a day. No, a library a week keeps the mind at peak, or something like that.
Yeah. Do I need to...
You gotta cue it. Cue it up.
Wait.
A library a week keeps the mind at peak with code so sleek, new skills we seek in the realms of code where logic meets art. Each library we learn sets us apart. From Python to Ruby and JavaScript's grace, new functions and features we eagerly embrace. Debugging and building our knowledge expands with every new library we strengthen our hands.
It's a hit.
It's a hit?
It's a hit.
We just created 2 minutes before we started with suno.com.
Yes, shout out to Suno. But yeah, it's like I'm a bit starstruck now.
It's to preface our library a week keeps the mind at peak section.
Exactly. Really cool. Actually, can you make this available actually for people to listen to afterwards if they want to?
Yeah, on Spotify, yeah?
Yeah, we should do it, huh?
Under your artist name?
My artist name. Oof. Okay.
So what is the library you chose, Mela?
It's called Slidev. It's not a new library, but it's something that I actually use quite a bit. It's my go-to.
Do you pronounce it as Slidev?
Slidev.
Slidev.
Slidev, I think it's probably, because it slides.
Because
develop.
it slides. Okay.
What do they do? If you're familiar with Review.js or any like JavaScript framework to create any slides, this is similar, but it goes from Markdown. So basically, you have like some Markdown text here, and then from that you will create a slide for you, right? So usually you present it on the browser. There's actually quite a lot of stuff. It's actually pretty cool. Can I change this? No, I can't change this. It has quite a lot of features. You can draw stuff. You can sync with other devices. It's really cool. And this is actually my go-to today if I need to present something, like something quick, right? For reasons that I'm not necessarily going to discuss now today. But on upgrading versions, I noticed that basically I was trying to put images and overlay images, but for some reason the images were being cropped. So actually I spent quite a lot of time trying to figure out why this was happening. And then turns out that there was one line here, and there's a CSS class that they had added that would basically, well, there's an overflow hidden property in CSS, right? So basically images that fall over the boundary that it's supposed to be in, they get cropped out, they get hidden. And I think this was the only thing that I needed to change. And I was debating, again, it's one line change, right? This was there for some reason, but I removed it. And I was debating a bit on whether it should contribute or not. So I changed it on my side. I had actually a quick fix here, right? And I opened the pull request and I was like, okay, whatever. And it actually got merged. So I'm officially a contributor now to Slidev. So
Wow, congrats.
you have to, can I get an applause, please? No, it's fine. Stop. Really.
And were you
I just do my job. Really, stop. It's fine. It's fine.
were you in this case also hesitant?
A bit, yeah, a bit. Because like, and I also try to follow the.
It looks like, so for the people that don't see it, like the first line is, "Thanks a lot for this project," Murilo says.
Yeah.
It's really my go-to tooling these days. I really, really love the project. And then he goes on what the PR is. It's like, I really need to make sure that I get them hyped up to merge this.
I love you. Are you single? No. But actually, I heard that also from.
I have a question.
Tell me.
So you removed this overflow hidden class.
Yes.
And which probably maps to some CSS that says overflows visible. But there is also this existing CSS that says overflow hidden is important. Overflow visible is important.
This is what I had.
You added that yourself. Okay,
yeah, I added that yourself because that was an
never
issue.
mind my question. Never mind my question. I understand.
But basically, it was just that one line, nothing to change really. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just do this. And then the guy's like, oh, can you elaborate more on why and what this is needed? I was like, okay, should I try to create screenshots and reproducible use cases? But then I just put this. And he just kind of, I answered. And then he just kind of stayed like that for a while. And then someone just kind of said, hey, actually, I also did this change. We don't need to do this. So in the end, it actually got merged. So
congrats.
I know.
How many of these contributions did you do? Because you have a few of your own open source projects, but like to other open source projects?
A handful. I feel like
it seems like max 5.
Yeah, less than 5. But I think the biggest one that I've done, and maybe I can actually, it's called.
But it takes, like, if you want to do more than small things, like it takes time to actually collaborate in an external project, right?
I think he's like.
I think by default, it's like you do it, like you use a tool and you notice, okay, something's wrong, and because I need it, I'm going to quickly do this change.
And that's the thing for me. A lot of times these changes are small, but what I'm trying to re-educate myself is it's still very useful, right? Like
true, yeah, definitely.
Like there's a lot of people using it. Maybe maybe it's like 5% of people, but it's still relevant, right? Yeah. And a lot of people are not even going to raise an issue or something, just like I did. I think this is the biggest. Cool. This is also something I contributed. It's called Reflex. It used to be Pinecone. It's like a Python transpiled to Next.js for front-end stuff.
Did they change it because of the vector they made?
Probably.
It's just called Pinecone.
Probably. But I also, for this one, I actually did a broader contribution. I actually, there was something missing really, and I actually wrote more code. It wasn't just a line.
What did you build?
It was just because their markdown, it wasn't formatted right. Like if you actually wanted to have lists, the list, the indentation was weird. And that's because they were using a different class. So actually, let's see if I can find myself here.
Are you a big Markdown user? Like this is also a Markdown thing.
Yeah, this is a Markdown thing. I don't know. I think it makes.
I mean, Slidev, you also write Markdown. Like, are you a big Markdown user?
I think so. I mean, I think it's if we need to have something quick. This is for the Python user group. Actually, this website that we built for the Python user group in Belgium is built using Reflex, and the actual text we're actually sourcing from the README from the GitHub, right? Which is all Markdown. So that's why I was also using it.
Cool.
But I think well, why wouldn't you use Markdown? I guess maybe.
No, I'm a big Markdown fan myself. Maybe a Markdown related tool to shout out. And I might be perceived as old when I say this.
Oof.
Is Pandoc.
Ah, you actually had some stuff with Pandoc, no?
I at some point made a plugin for it, but like Pandoc is like you have any type of file with text, and I use it very often with Markdown, and you can convert that to like anything. HTML slides is one of them. PDFs via LaTeX is one of them. Like, but you can also write your book in Markdown and convert it to a LaTeX or to an HTML or like an EPUB version. Like,
and is it good, the conversions?
It's very good.
Oh, really?
It's very mature.
What was your Pandoc plugin this
year? It's allowed you to. It's been a few years actually, but it allowed you to have a code block of Python within your Markdown file that it would actually execute and then show the results of that. So that could be like a text output, but it could also be like a graph or something.
I see.
Yeah.
So it would actually show just underneath the code.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is really cool. Oh, really cool. This is the project, right?
Yeah. Pandoc run
and
Python.
You have here and vice versa contributor as well. Let's commit 2 years ago. Okay. I have this as well. That sometimes I write something and then I lose interest and it just kind of.
I always have this. This is the problem. Like I typically work on these open source stuff, and it's not necessarily because it's open source, but I create something because I'm using it in my workflow. And then you think a nice thing next step is that I'm going to share it with the community.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else can use it. But from the moment that your workflow changes and you're not doing that anymore, like it gets abandoned.
Yeah, and I think that's I mean, I also admire the people that are really invested in open source long term, because it also takes a lot of discipline in my eyes to really,
because of those people that we actually have the ecosystem.
Exactly. But I think also, like you said, contributing to a project, like just contributing a project that you don't necessarily use is not something you need. It also takes a lot of time to get up to speed with the code base, to really understand, make the changes, add the tests and all the things, right? But that's something that it's a soft goal of mine, to just kind of contribute more on these things. I think it would be nice. Alrighty. This is too much non-AI stuff, Bart. I think maybe we should go back to the AI things, because Adobe overhauls terms of service to say it won't train AI on customers' work. What is this about?
So Adobe released their new terms of service, I want to say somewhere last week, where there were some was a bit of vague terminology, and that was, I think, perceived at least or interpreted as Adobe has access to all your content, which it still has, even with the overall terms of service, and that it will use this content to train AI models.
Okay.
Which sounds, I think that were the headlines that you saw. I actually read it myself last week, and it actually says Adobe has access to all your content, which is weird. Even content that is on the NDA, like
really?
I guess technically they always had access to it. It's in their cloud.
Yeah.
But apparently they can really view it, like open it, like.
Oh wow.
But what the terms of service actually said, and now they made it more explicit, is that what they do is to use that for content moderation. So for like images that should not be on there, like these type of things.
Okay.
Like,
but then this not training AI models on the customer's work.
I think the fear of people was that everything that is in my Adobe Cloud can be used by Adobe to train their Firefly model, which is their GenAI model.
Yeah.
Which is which and they're made that more explicit now with their reviewed terms of service.
Do you see a risk, a security risk there as well? Like if you have something, I mean, I'm wondering, for example, if it was text, right? You have a key, you have an API key or something that gets leaked. That is a clear privacy risk, right? Like if you have a, I don't know, like we talked about Warp, and they have Warp AI. If they use your data to train, maybe they have some autocompletes that put someone else's AWS keys. Do you see?
What you would hope, I think, with any cloud service is that it gets encrypted and only you, as the user, can open that. Which is not the case for Adobe.
Yeah, sure. You're Adobe AI user.
I am, yeah, an Adobe user, not sometimes an Adobe AI user.
Does it concern you at all?
The problem with Adobe is that, well, yes, it concerns me. I think it's weird that people have access to your local files, the designs that you create.
But you're not going to stop using Adobe.
The problem with Adobe is like it's so big, you cannot go in the creative space without Adobe.
Yeah, I can.
They really have a monopoly.
Yeah,
and you can say for individual apps like Photoshop, there's an alternative. Like for Illustrator, there is an alternative. Like you have alternatives for each app, but not for that ecosystem of apps that you typically use together.
Yeah. And this is very polished, right? Adobe products are very well polished, no?
I think that those opinions differ depending on who you talk about this, but feature-wise, they're very good. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. To keep an eye out then.
Yes.
And who else is keeping an eye out? Pretty artists. What is this about? Artists are fleeing Instagram to keep their work out of Meta's AI.
Yeah, so Meta announced that, if I'm not completely mistaken, that starting as of summer, end of June or July, that they can use all your public posts on Meta's platform, which is Facebook, which is Instagram, which is maybe even WhatsApp groups. I don't know. To train their AI model.
Meta said that.
And you see, and what you see is that a lot of artists use Instagram a bit as their portfolio. Which basically means like having their portfolio up on Instagram gives Meta access to use their art to train Meta's model. And you see now, since a week or two, a huge growth of Cara, it's called. I think it's Cara.app. I'm not 100% sure. It's Cara.app, Cara.app, which is an alternative to Instagram for artists to show your portfolio.
Didn't we talk about Cara? Or I read it in an article.
Maybe you read it.
I think I read it, but I'm trying to remember the context.
And if they grew a lot, would be interesting to see. I think they grow in a week to 600,000 users, I want to say. I'm not exactly sure about the numbers. And the funny thing, no, it's actually not funny. It's a bit sad. It's unrelated to Meta, but it's related to their huge growth, is that the creator, I forgot her name, of Cara, got a bill from Vercel of almost 100,000 euros.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Because the app grew that quickly and it had to scale like to huge amounts. They got a huge bill, and they're now working. Vercel is now working with the creator of Cara to see how to go forward. They say that they tried to notify her, but that she was very busy because like she was making sure that the platform could handle everything.
That's true. That's true. But like, in this case, it wasn't here. There's also TechCrunch. Maybe we can also link that. It grew very quickly. It was using serverless Vercel, meaning that serverless basically it just scales really well, right?
Yeah.
But she didn't put like
it
caps
for you.
Yeah, but she didn't put caps or alerts or monitoring for the billing, and then she had her bill basically exploded.
And it's easy to say, but you need to have monitoring place, notifications in place. But like it grew so quickly, like within a week, there were 600,000 new onboarders. Like I think your first priority is to make sure that the platform keeps working.
Yeah.
And then 3 days, 4 days later, you see a bill of 100,000.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna, oh shit.
I should have done that.
It's easy to say she could have seen it coming, but I think
Yeah. Struggle with the unexpected 1,525. Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
what's the name of the? Because I'm
The name of the person?
creator.
Jinya Zhang. Let me see that one.
Leave that up to you.
Also, and I think yeah, because I remember like I also glanced at this story, and she's also suing Google, yeah, for allegedly using their copyrighted work
Oh wow.
to train Imagen. So yeah, it's a big advocate, I guess, for art against GenAI art and all the things. So cool. I'm also wondering, yeah. So this is the parallel between Instagram being the portfolio of artists and now artists leaving, and GitHub is kind of the portfolio for developers, but it's well known that GitHub uses the code to train. But there's not a friction at all there. Like no one's fleeing GitHub now because they're using this to train AI. Do you think that's because the AI tools are going back to developers? Do you think it's because there's something that you don't feel like you're being cheated on as much if they're taking your code, because developers copy codes are known to copy code from the internet and from each other? Do you think my analogy is just flawed?
That's a good question. An interesting parallel to make. I think with using Copilot for GitHub, which is trained on open source products, right?
Yeah.
Open source projects. I think unless you're building a competing project, then maybe, but that's typically not the case. Like you're gonna see code generated in a certain style that maybe you're gonna say, yeah, I also write my code this way, but it's still very vague, right? Because a lot of people write their code like Marilo writes it.
Not like me, but
I think when you're an artist and your art, you have a very specific style, and suddenly you see GenAI generated art in your style, that is much more, it creates much more friction, or like this feeling like this is unfair.
yeah. But do you think
Because it's really the end product, like the style that you write code is not your end product.
I see what you're saying. So it's like you're saying that code is a means to get something else done.
Yeah.
And art, that's the something. That's the end product.
Yeah.
Do you think that's also something, a bit of the identity of an artist? There's more attached to this than the developer with code?
Potentially, but I think the friction is neat, how you say it, like it's the end product.
Okay.
And it feels unfair if someone mimics it, and not because of their own effort that they're putting into it, but because they use something that was trained on your stuff.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like I'm basically taking what you did,
Yeah,
which is your end product,
yeah,
and I'm mimicking it based on what you did, and taking the credit and the goodies, I guess, from you.
And I think if you would have, like, you're an artist, you're famous, you have your own style. If we would not have GenAI, like, you could still be an inspiration for other people, and they might incorporate your style to some extent, but it requires them to practice for years to get to a level where they can be inspired by your style, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a different feeling. Like in that case, you're probably going to be proud.
Yeah, there's also a level like a master you need to achieve to be able to do these things.
And now someone that cannot do anything, cannot draw at all, can say, generate this in the style of Marilo.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel
and
benefit of it.
If that was even an option to design something else in my style, I'll be pretty flattered that someone actually wants to copy my style.
Yeah, but you're not living
I'm
off
not
of
an
it,
artist.
right?
No, I'm not an artist. Well, yeah, it's a good point. But
and I think there, like, I don't. So to me, the major difficulty there, I think, like Meta or OpenAI or other companies that are building these Gen AI image generation models, they are not necessarily nefarious in this. I think they would be open to contribute something back to the original artist.
Yeah.
Going out on limb here, but the problem is today there is no. The method does not exist to have a hard link back to, I have this new output, it is based on a style by Murillo, but it goes through this major black box system,
Yeah.
and you don't really know, like, was Murillo's original art,
How much
was
did
it
that
part of it?
influence? Right.
if at all, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that mechanism doesn't exist now, but we need it to some extent to be able to do attribute this back to artists.
Yeah.
And I think from that moment onwards, like, you're in a completely different scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And then from that moment onward, it also becomes possible for people to opt out because you actually know what to block.
True. But do you think that if it was possible to really, like, let's imagine there is a financial contribution or even just acknowledgement, right? Like this 7% of this was contributed by Bart's art.
Yeah.
Do you think artists would be less resistant to GenAI stuff?
I think so.
I think so.
But I think there will still be people that say, and then you can make the parallel with the music industry.
Yeah.
Where you can, I can use a sample of something that you made and I use it in my music, but it will be attributed to you and I have a deal with you where I pay X% to you. Sometimes it's in a contract, sometimes it's just Spotify that distributes it, for example. But I also have the option to say, no, I don't want that. And I'm gonna not allow you to use it.
So you guys,
because there is this transparency that you use something from me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think that's a
like the economic model for that does not exist now because we do not have the mechanism to make that transparent in that whole black box that is an LLM.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's the intentionality or the transparency, I guess. I think that makes a big difference. And I also think
so if you know a way how to build that,
I'll think about it. Give me like next week.
Okay.
But I also think that in terms of code as well, there's a bit of a different approach as well. That I think it's people also expect in a way that you're gonna copy paste code, that you're gonna do this, that you're gonna do that. Like I think if you put something there, it's kind of expected that people are gonna copy that in a way. There's a bit of a
maybe like a few weeks from now, you will see somewhere someone has removed class overflow hidden. And you're gonna go, God damn it, they trained on my code.
I just does that. Yeah. Good luck with that. You know, my changes are very punctual, you know. Very slim. Alrighty, cool. This week was a big week on AI, I think mainly on the Apple stuff as well. Always AI, yeah.
Always AI. Maybe there's also been a big round of investment round for Mistral, 600 million, if I'm not mistaken.
True.
So we have a lot of things moving.
Let's see.
Like every week.
Every week. And we'll be here next week. Thanks for whoever's been here, following us. Thanks, Bart.
Thank you, Marilla.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Can we hit that sweet outro that you had for the library week?
You want the same? Or the alternative version?
You're going to put alternative version. I'll leave it up to you.
Okay. Wait,
and then maybe people can let us know which one they like best. Bart wants to do a video clip of that too. So pick one and Bart will dress up and do the whole...
Do it,
Let's do it.
The library a week. This is going to be the outro. Right?
Hit it.
A library keeps the mind at peak. With code so sweet, new skills we seek in the realms of code. Where logic meets art.
Breakdance, Marilla. Then we have the video.
Python to Ruby and JavaScript's grace. New functions and features we eagerly embrace. Keep bugging and building our knowledge expands with every new library.
See you next week.
Ciao.